Hi, my name is Lynn, and welcome back to my channel where we talk about all things to support you on your hair journey. So to get started, I'm going to share with you what I've been learning so far. And this week's topic is going to be on pumpkin seed oil. There's a lot of information out there on the YouTubes and everywhere about it. And so I'm just going to share with you what I've been learning. Even talk a little bit about why I decided to use pumpkin seed oil. So like you, I'm dealing with alopecia. I was diagnosed with early scarring alopecia in 2020, I believe. Well, really right in the beginning of 2021, but it's something that I've been dealing with for years. Also, a side note, today we're drinking a green drink that has lots of good anti-inflammatory vegetables in here, so that's what I'm drinking today. I was diagnosed with early scarring alopecia. Like you, I'm trying to find the best approach to healing, and I'm completely aware that for me, healing might not be I'm going to have a big old afro. I might just have no spots on my hair, and I'm okay with that. Whatever the healing looks like internally, and then however it manifests externally, that's what I've come to terms with, and I'm okay with that. So I'm not a physician, I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a hairstylist. There are tons of resources out there. So what I'm sharing with you is literally what I'm learning. The information, the more I learn, the more I'm going to share. I'm continuing to evolve in what I'm understanding about the topic of alopecia and hair loss and how to approach it. So my hair loss was, again, diagnosed pretty early. Well, it was diagnosed as early scarring alopecia. One of my root causes was inflammation. There are multiple causes, and there are people who could have one root cause or several root causes. And so that's one of the things that's most important, is for you to assess what are your root causes. And that can be done by research on your own, meeting with a physician, which I highly recommend, your family practice physician, meet with a dermatologist. You could also meet with a trichologist. I mean, I think leverage all of the resources and the people that are around that are experts in their particular field, and try to get as much information as possible to help you make the best informed decisions as you're on this journey. And so for me, also the other thing is I always have some notes. So you'll see me look away, and that's why, just because I have notes. So multiple factors I was faced with, and when I was doing the research early on, when I was just trying to figure out what can I do, pumpkin seed oil kept coming up. I kept seeing it on people's YouTube videos. I kept seeing it in articles, and so I thought, well, let me do some research on that and to see. The thing that is, I will say, that's probably one of the most kind of frustrating things about this process is I think sometimes it's hard to figure out, maybe once you find something and it starts growing back, what exactly is the one thing that's helping. And I don't know for me that it's just going to be the one thing. I had to make several changes, and I've added a couple of things into my regimen, so I don't know exactly which one it is. But I will say this: when I stopped taking pumpkin seed oil I don't know if it was a couple of days or it was for some time, I thought that I had more issues with my scalp, like itching and things like that. I can't say scientifically that that's the case. So I'm keeping pumpkin seed oil in my regimen. I've seen enough people, and I've used it enough to know, between that and the turmeric and the spearmint that I take, those are the three things that I'm taking all the time regularly that obviously it's helping. So pumpkin seed oil, let's talk about that. It has the ability to block androgens like DHT, which is dihydrotestosterone, which is a cause of hormonal hair loss. One of the articles that I read indicated that hormonal hair loss could be identified as, especially if it's in this area, so this area, the front, and then in your crown, right? So if those are your trigger areas or your key areas, that could be, according to the articles and the research, that could be connected to hormonal hair loss. Having PCOS is what led me to looking at the hormonal pieces of this journey. So that's a whole nother whole nother conversation. But when DHT is floating in the bloodstream and it gets to the scalp, it can shrink the hair follicles. And when the hair follicles shrink, then that can lead to the thinning and the loss of hair. And so you can ask your dermatologist or your family practice physician to get a blood test to test your testosterone levels. We already know that if you're in perimenopause, which I am, which is probably anyone over 40 or close to 40 and above, or if you're in menopause, there could be some challenges with menopause related hair loss, right? And so if that's the case, then pumpkin seed oil might also be a good benefit. The other benefit of pumpkin seed oil is it's rich in unsaturated fatty acids and vitamin E, both of which have the potential to help hair growth because of the anti-androgen effects. Pumpkin seed oil also contains zinc, and zinc is a mineral that helps maintain immune function, wound healing. It also, I saw one article that indicated that some patients that have alopecia areata sometimes have zinc deficiencies. And so if you have the alopecia that tends to be spotty all over the place, it might be worth a question with your dermatologist or your trichologist about zinc. So these are just a couple of the reasons why pumpkin seed oil might be a great option for you. So let's talk about how to incorporate pumpkin seed oil. There are three ways: supplements, topical, and through your food or through nutrition. So let's talk about vitamin supplements first. Let's talk about how to incorporate pumpkin seed oil. So I use this pumpkin seed oil. I switch brands. Sometimes I use the Now brand, but this one is by a company called Carlyle. It has 2,000 milligrams per serving. And these are non-GMO. They recommend to take 2 quick release soft gels 1 to 2 times a day. Right now I'm taking 1. I keep saying I'm going to go back to taking 2, but last year when I was just starting it, I was taking 2, 1 in the morning and 1 in the evening. I'm going to go back to the 1 in the evening again, or try to be more consistent with that. There's no gluten, no wheat, no yeast, no milk, no lactose, no soy. These are non-GMO. And so I got these on Amazon. I'll link below as well. So you can, if you want to explore that. And so that's one way, is to do that. The one thing too, regardless of what brand you get, make sure that it's cold pressed, because cold press, from what I've read, retains most of the minerals and the benefits, the health benefits for the vitamin. And so also leave a note in the comments, are you taking pumpkin seed oil? Have you seen a difference? And how often do you take it, or how often do you use it? The next way that you can use it is topical. And so there is actually, I found a couple of research articles, and what I'll say too is, when I was doing some research and looking for some scientific and medical articles, there is a ton of information out there for men dealing with hair loss and different interventions that can be done in terms of the research that's out there. There's growing research for women, not nearly as much as there is for men, but it's a start, right? So pumpkin seed oil, this particular research study looked at pumpkin seed oil versus minoxidil. I've never used minoxidil as a topical, so I'd be interested if anyone if you're watching this and you've used it, would love to hear your comments about the pros and cons from your perspective. The one thing that I heard, and that my dermatologist told me, that I've heard people say, like, once you start using it, you always have to use it. Now, the same could be said for the pumpkin seed oil nutrition supplements, but if it's a chemical, and is it the thing that if you use it, you always have to use it? I'm not sure. So I don't know that for a fact. I'm just telling you what I've heard from other people. But this study looked at pumpkin seed oil versus minoxidil, and it was what they call a randomized comparative trial. There were only, I believe, 60 participants. So again, you have to be really careful not inferring, something that could be generalized to the entire population. But for me, it was enough. It's enough for me to say, let me look at this and look a little bit further. And so they essentially gave the participants a treatment of minoxidil. 30 treatments received topical minoxidil, and then 30 patients received topical pumpkin seed oil. And their conclusion was that there was significant improvement in both groups regarding the hair shaft diversity, vellus hair, and the upright regrowing hair. And minoxidil actually in this study had higher significant efficacy compared to pumpkin seed oil. And so, long story short, the minoxidil, and we know this, people know minoxidil does work. I think the thing that can be said from this is that pumpkin seed oil, there is evidence that it supports. Now, there's also all of us on YouTube, women who are using it, who wholeheartedly believe that it does support hair growth. So this was the way that you can use it from a topical perspective. So the Curly Chemistry, I'll link below. She has a great video on pumpkin seed oil and creating your own. And then the YouTube channel Black Hair and Skin Care, she has a whole line of products that you can purchase that have pumpkin seed oil in them. I have not used them. I keep saying I'm going to try them. I actually kind of made my own little pumpkin seed oil, I think I had pumpkin seed oil, I put some rosemary in there, some lavender, and so that's something that I created and that I use periodically. So using it topically is certainly one way to go about it. I've been using it all three ways, right? So I first talked about supplementation, then we just talked about topical, but one of the ways you can use it in terms of your food is by adding it to your salad dressing or making a salad dressing with it. I've done that. And then you can also, I've added it to my smoothies, just a teaspoon or a tablespoon or so. So the thing that's kind of hard to assess is how much. Is there an amount that becomes too much? I don't know. And so that's one of the things that is the fun part of the journey, but also the challenge is that sometimes we just don't know what is going to work and we have to try things out. And so I would say that as long as you check with your doctor to make sure that if you're taking any kind of medications that there's no interaction with them, pumpkin seed oil is probably a low risk way to try to figure out, is it something that might be beneficial and helpful for your regimen. So hope this information was helpful. Encourage you to live well, live blessed, and nourish your crown, and I'll see you in the next video.